It's not even daylight yet.
Should be illegal.
Oh man, we got some snow.
This is gonna be a really good or a really bad way to start off the year.
So I think odds, we don't hit water, and evens, we do hit water.
I like odd numbers.
You like odds?
Yeah,
okay.
so odds or water.
Odds or water. Okay, odds or water. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
7.
Oh, we're gonna hit water. Hold on.
Yes.
If we can get a pair, we're gonna hit water really shallow, and it's gonna be a lot of water. So let's try one more time. If we get a pair. Oh.
Well, it's still an odd.
Still an odd, so that means we're definitely gonna hit water today. Is there a block in front of that tire?
No block. Just maybe on the other side. There you go. Yep, it's just sitting in the ditch.
Not again. It's not even daylight yet.
That right there is better than a cup of coffee. That'll wake you up.
That will wake you up. That's like a sport. Who can move piles of crap faster? I will say I have no regrets having a Mini around here because we moved a lot of stuff and we didn't lift much stuff.
Nope.
That's the way it should be. We did lift a few things, which was more just like stubbornness. You think we're gonna hit water today?
I do.
See, we rolled the dice yesterday.
I do. I have a good feeling.
You have a good feeling?
Yeah, I think we need to make a pool.
Yeah.
And everyone guesses.
Right. You should place your bets now.
Okay, I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess 180.
I was guessing 150.
Really?
See, I'm being more optimistic than you are.
Okay, see, like I was originally thinking like 300.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be like 300, but.
So, okay, you want 150, I'm 180.
I think everyone has this, like, we could draw it out, this like well drilling like experience where it's like optimism, 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 and it kind of plateaus and it starts to become like pessimism.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And pretty soon it's just like tears and sadness.
We'll
and
task Bugaboo what his
a lot
number
of
is.
like hugs. Kind of looks like a funeral a little bit, you know. Look at this. This is crazy.
What do you suppose that is?
That, I believe, is a drill head. Actually, I have no idea.
Wow.
So I know the stuff on the left is the casing, and that's
Right,
what our
that's
well
the
is going to be
casing.
lined with. Yeah, these are the drill heads on the right.
I
So
think.
that's what they actually will put down into the ground.
Oh.
So every one of those is 20 feet. So every one of those is $1,000. Was it $1,000?
Money.
Yeah. So every time you see one of those disappear, just go over there and we'll add 1,000.
And it's $48 a foot.
That's the per foot price, but there's some base charges in there for capping the well and for the drill head and for the
Screen,
casing
the well
and the screen. We're gonna screen the well. I'll have to explain that later because I can't remember exactly why, but basically I think it keeps sediment from infiltrating the well. It's expensive to get the screen in there, but it really increases the quality and the longevity of your well. Otherwise, it could get flooded with sediment, I think.
This looks more complicated than flying an airplane.
It does. Look how many switches and levers there are.
What do you think they're squawking?
Yeah, right? I wonder if there's an equivalent for like right rudder. Like right rudder, right
Yeah.
rudder. I do know that at some point, if things go well, that thing's going to be gushing water and
Yeah.
it's going to look like a water park. That thing is flipping massive. This puts to shame any drill we own. Oh my gosh. It's taller than our house. What in the world? I think it's huge. So that's the drill head. You can see the teeth on it. It's loading the drill head into the casing. So basically it drills and inserts casing at the same time. So the thing is, even if you drill a well and there's no water, there's still a casing there because you don't want the well to collapse. Nice. There go the city water guys. Hey guys. Are they technically competitors? One's like, you can have all the water you want, but if we get mad at you, we turn it off. And this one's like, but you want water independence. Water independence. About where the well's gonna go.
Somewhere in there.
It's not like you could just move
Right.
a little bit.
Nope.
About right there.
Here-ish.
So apparently in Idaho, there's a restriction where they have to put bentonite clay around the casing.
For like health food reasons?
Right. You have to put it on your face like a mask.
Right.
And it really
Cleans
exfoliates.
the parasites out.
Yeah, exfoliates your well to make sure its skin is always crystal clear. It's like an anti-aging for wells. Anyway, in Idaho it's required so that it seals around the casing so that groundwater cannot penetrate the casing. And apparently in Montana it's not required. So they have kind of a unique system where they actually have to drill with a large pipe first to create an oversized hole, and then they can put the 6-inch pipe in and fill with bentonite around the 6-inch pipe in an 8-inch hole. Kind of strange, but they have to do it in Idaho, and apparently it's because of southern Idaho. It's all their fault. this is the bit that just came out. This is like a 10-inch bit, I think, and they're pulling the 10-inch or the 11-inch casing out, and then they're gonna weld a bit on our casing that'll actually be the casing bit, and then they're going to insert a drill bit. Actually, I think there's a drill bit in that casing already, and they're going to use that then to drill our well. So this one was just for the first 20 feet or so. So this is the bit. This is actually a bit that's going to be welded onto the casing, and it just stays in the well.
Okay.
And yeah, that's part of our well. So we're paying for that.
Cool.
Like that's part of the, doesn't matter if you hit water or not cost, is this guy. And it's like carbide. I think it's carbide or something. It's really tough, whatever it is. And that sucker's got to drill till you find water, right?
No pressure, little guy.
No pressure, little blue guy. Yeah, and so I guess they're gonna weld that on before they start.
Cool.
Yeah.
This is really cold.
Yeah, it's really cold. They're gonna be putting bentonite clay, I guess in powder form, down there, and then the groundwater will leach into the bentonite powder and will create a seal around the upper portion of the casing, just where they put this 11 whatever inch. And apparently this is because in some areas where there's aquifers, where there's actually like a high water table, and they drill, say, through the aquifer, I guess, the aquifer water could contaminate the well by moving laterally into the well casing. So, learning as we go. Squish it between your fingers. It's not sand, right? It clumps. So there's rock there, but like that right there is just a chunk of clay.
So you gotta go deeper?
Yep, they're still going, but they're not even very deep yet. I mean, they really haven't even got going yet.
Right.
It looks like they're on the 80-foot mark, but they're about halfway, so they're almost 70 feet right now, and he just handed me a bunch of what's coming out. There's some rock and stuff in it, some sand, but there's clay.
And clay is bad because water doesn't flow through clay.
It either flows over clay, which can be good. So like when we dug our foundation, the concrete guy said don't over dig, because if you do, you'll end up in the clay and then you'll have all kinds of water issues, right? But in this situation, yeah, it's just kind of clay, sand, rock.
So basically this is what we continue doing, is we keep looking at what's coming out. And at a certain point you decide, do we settle or do we keep going,
well,
right?
Yeah, at some point they will hit water, then they'll have to do a flow check and say, hey, this is how much flow and this is the water quality. You know, and if it's really murky water, like it's not really desirable. So then you have to ask yourself, do you want to keep growing and hope for better, or what?
So let's keep drilling.
Keep drilling. So this is what they hit in the first 20 feet.
Oh,
and that's like just pure clay. Like that's like Play-Doh. You know? Anyway, so that's what they found in the first 20 feet.
Ooh, water. Man, I want to win the bet. Which is? But I don't want to win the bet because it's really deep.
Oh, that's
See?
right. What'd you say it was? 180?
I said 180, you said 150. My mom
Her
said
mom said
30,
30.
so far she's winning. She's winning. We're at what, 80 feet?
Yeah.
And it's flowing.
The well driller just gave us a thumbs up.
When the well
This guy does
driller's
it every day.
smiling, that's a good sign. So
Which
we're
is
gonna
weird.
go deeper
Yeah.
to see
How deep the
because
gravel is.
these sediment layers, they're not like 1 feet.
It can
You
be
know,
an
they
inch
could be.
or 10 feet or 100
So let's see, fingers crossed.
That's not a small amount of water either.
I'm not a body language expert,
Uh-huh.
but when people do this, even when I can't see their face, that's not sign language for I'm pissed off.
We're failing!
I don't want to get too excited.
I
yet.
know. It's hard, right?
It's hard.
But when the well drill is getting excited, it's hard to not feel the excitement.
It is. It's exciting. It's an exciting day.
Maybe it's kind of like the shelter's strategy where they're like, perfect! When there's like
Maybe.
lots of problems,
Maybe
they just act
lots of smiling.
they just
Lots
act
of
excited.
optimism.
I don't know.
Exactly.
That's exciting.
How am I not wet or dirty? Jesse, I know you crashed the drone, but we're at about 1,300 gallons a day right now. So he said we're at like 10 gallons a minute.
That's
In his opinion, that's pretty dang good.
That's pretty dang good
If
for
it were him, he
domestic.
probably wouldn't go further. So
Yep.
I think Alyssa should not make final decisions on how deep our well should be.
okay.
So maybe let's go chat.
Yeah, let's chat. Let's have the talk.
Is the drone okay?
Oh yeah, it got really wet. Like, I don't know what happened, but the compass like stopped working all of a sudden. And so it went from GPS mode to ADDI mode.
Weird.
And it like flew backwards into the tree, which was kind of weird.
Hashtag worth it.
Yeah, I don't know, it was strange, I don't know. It's fine, like it took a rough tumble through there, got all
Cool.
wet, but it's doing fine, so I'm
Cool.
just trying to get the lens so you can see what you're doing, because it's all covered in water.
Yep.
Yeah, we're under 90 feet.
That's crazy.
kind of odd, right? I mean, not really.
Kinda odd.
Kind of odd.
Kinda odd. This area is a scary area. Yeah.
So,
We
and you
hit-
guys went down another 10 feet into the gravel.
Blue clay.
Oh, you hit clay.
Blue clay.
We went
Oh.
down and then came there. They went
So
down and
there's
came back
a
up.
solid layer of clay down there.
There's blue clay there. We don't want to go into the blue clay. You have a cistern. If it's clean, I would be happy with 3 gallons.
Right.
That's what we originally built the cistern for, was if we drilled a well and it was low flow, oh well. If it could give us a gallon or 2 a minute, we could use the cisterns and be happy as clams.
They tested it a couple minutes ago at 12. We're going to test it again. I mean, as long as it's clean and you can fill your cistern, we're golden.
If we have
Okay.
excess, we'll start a vineyard, maybe just a small one.
Yeah,
don't have that much.
We'll just start a water system. We're totally relying on you for guidance there. You know, we don't. If you feel like that's good water, we're not going to argue with you. Kill it. Sold. Cool.
Look at that.
Good job.
You can see it's getting cleaner.
That's getting, and it's flowing good. Yeah. Look at all this clay. You can see it separating. It's just silt.
That's crazy.
Look at that. That's what they were hitting for probably about 60 feet. I mean, there was actually like gravelly, you know, clay, I guess. And then there was a layer there of just pure clay. Like crazy. And that's what's all over this right here. Well, that's the casing he's raising right now, so that's what they
Great.
cut off of the 20-footer that they didn't need.
Okay.
Yep. And then he's gonna take that and raise the bit out, and then they'll lay the casing and the bit down. So they're taking that casing with them because we don't need it. There's water.
The tape is now 4 feet off. Static's 50 feet.
So 50 feet.
50
okay.
feet.
It's so pretty.
I know.
It's nice.
Think we gotta pick our color?
No. I think they're all green.
Do we want to tell them the damage? It's not fair to call it damage.
Yeah, that's not really that fair. Yeah, I think they deserve to know.
Let me zoom in on the total. 5526. Bye guys.
There's no way anybody could have predicted this today. Like,
No.
we were fully prepared. Like, we were doing all this work over here because they thought they were going to be here for a couple of days or 3 days or something. You know, we're like smoothing the gravel out, making it easy to work, and like they're off before dinner time. What the heck? Yeah, Alyssa and I, when things go really well, we're always skeptical. And I don't know, I guess one of those, there's a lot of people in life when they say just quit, you just quit. And one of those is a well driller. They're like, I wouldn't push your luck. We were there. You did it. And it just seems a little too easy, which is so different from this project. But maybe we can kind of tell you guys a little bit more about why this well was so unique in our area. In our area, a normal well doesn't exist. We live in an area where the earth is turned up by glaciers and the topography is just random. So using well reports from other wells is kind of helpful, but it doesn't tell you everything about your piece of property. The difference could be 50 feet away. You never know what you're gonna find. So the way the topography around our house is, behind our house we have this huge chunk of glacial rock. They're kind of boulders with some sand in there. We found some little ribbons of clay kind of mixed in when we did the trench for our cisterns. And that would probably be a good draining soil. So we thought, well, if that exists below where we are, maybe we'll hit some sand. And we were looking for sand around our area. In fact, this company just finished drilling a well not far from us, and they went 250 feet, and it was mostly clay. No one in our area has gravel, according to the well driller. They never run into gravel. So we know that the land where our house is sitting on is mostly kind of rock and some clay, depending on where you're at. But down below us is the valley bed, and there's actually a creek that runs through this bed, this valley bed over here. So the assumption is that there's probably some sort of static water, you know, somewhere in that area or just below it. The concern was that there would be mostly mud or clay quite a ways down. But the driller, their experience was that there was actually quite a bit of gravel in this area down to about 25 or 30 feet. And it was mixed in with clay, but there was mostly gravel. But they ran into a layer of clay, and this was solid clay.
That was the stuff that you made the square out of?
Yeah, we had a piece of that, and it was literally just a chunk of clay. And because there was clay in this gravel, it's not desirable for a well, even though there was just a teeny tiny little bit of water there. So they went through this layer of clay, and at some point down here, they ran into, well, there was clay and sand and a bunch of stuff past the layer of clay. Again, gravelly, sandy, with some clay in it. So again, not desirable for the well. And then at some point, like almost just instantly, the clay disappeared and they ran into pure gravel and sand. And that was somewhere around 60, 65 feet. They wanted to go a little bit farther out of curiosity to see if they could get deeper into this layer here. This is the layer that we wanted to be in because that's where the water is located. So they drilled even deeper than that by coming down a little bit, and somewhere around 90, 92 feet or something, they hit a layer of blue clay, which was highly undesirable. If we kept drilling, we were gonna be in a pickle, and we could just drill to China, as they always say. Who knows how deep that clay was? The well driller said it could be 200 feet thick. You have no clue. And because we had already been getting water and flow, and there was no clay in this gravelly layer, they actually backed the well off by removing some of the casing, and they allow the earth to fill this area back in, and they pulled the well back to 87 feet, putting us well into this gravelly layer. We then used a rock and a string, high-tech method, to measure what's called the static water level. So even though the well is 87 feet deep, the water is actually sitting in that well over 30, I think it's almost 40 feet deep. And there's a flow rate of somewhere around 10 to 12 gallons per minute. And there's 40 feet of static head. There's so much technical stuff with wells that you couldn't possibly share all that in this video, but that's basically what happened. When they hit this blue clay, they told us, if it's my well, I'd stop. We don't need 12 gallons a minute for domestic use. We're gonna do another video down the road, I think, and talk about our water system, how it was part of the strategy, what we're gonna do with the well. That's not for today's video. The reason this is so exciting is that there was nobody who guessed we were gonna hit water at 60 feet. We guessed somewhere around 30 feet down to the valley floor from our house. We're kind of sitting up on just a piece of rocky, sandy, glacial till. We figured if we get below that creek, there probably would be some water there, but everyone figured it would just be full of clay or mud and the water would just be unusable. And so we were fully prepared to just keep drilling down to where everyone else drills. There's a very large commercial well nearby where they drilled, I believe, over 500 feet. And they actually made the decision to do the same thing. They actually backed the well out because they found better flow higher up, and instead of leaving the well so deep. Thankfully, we went about 10 feet more than we needed to before we decided to just quit. So that's what happened, and it shocks the driller just as much as we are because he does this every day. We kind of already knew from talking to neighbors and, you know, urban myths that if anything like this doesn't happen. This is very uncommon in our area, like unheard of. Now, there are areas not too far from us where, you know, a 50 or 100 foot well is common, but in our area, every one of us would have lost this bet.
So just talking some numbers, the driller said an average well, like 15, it's in there. It's really in there for average, especially for this area, which would be a 300-foot well at $48 a foot. Of course, there's some extra charges on there. That would be $14,400. Plus at least a $2,000 sand screen, which bumps you up to $16,000, plus some extra costs in there. So that's kind of what we were budgeting for. But again, you said one of our neighbors or someone else in the area had a 750-foot well, right?
There's a 1,000-foot well not too far from us that had
I could
water.
do the math. 1,000 feet
is $48,000.
No water, $48,000.
That's it.
That is insane. So
And they still had to hook to a community water system.
right, which is like another $10,000 plus a monthly water bill. So this is why we waited till now to drill a well, because we wanted to wait until we felt it was worth the gamble, and if we didn't get water or it was going to be like an astronomical cost, we were okay with that. So I think this just really puts into perspective what having a 90-foot well is doing for us. The fact that we're paying $5,500 total is insane, and because we hit gravel, we don't need the sand screen, which is $2,000. Just right because we landed our well in this area right here, we would have otherwise had to pay $7,000. Right. Which is still great in my opinion.
It is. So something we didn't talk about that we're sharing, because we're drilling into sand and gravel and things, they actually have to put in a steel casement, and that is $18 a foot more than a PVC casing. So if they drill into bedrock, they can actually use PVC, which is $30 a foot for drilling.
Right.
Because the casing
it probably depends on the area. So like no one here is paying that rate.
So basically wells in our area are very, very expensive. Like most people will just balk at these numbers because they're just unheard of. But because we're drilling into sand, you have to use steel casement, you have to go really deep, and you're still not guaranteed water.
Some would say that they wouldn't buy property if they didn't know for a fact it had water. We were okay with that risk because this is the specific guy we talked to, I think 4 years ago. We were okay that we can get you water. It's just it's going to cost. We don't know how deep we're going to have to go. We were okay with that to get started, to get this particular piece of property. But if you're looking to buy land and you do want that guarantee, there's areas around here that you're guaranteed a 60-foot well with good water. We didn't want to move to that area, but these are the types of questions to ask, because that could really blindside you if you're not prepared for it.
Well, that could be more than the cost of the land itself.
Exactly.
And you may not even end up with water.
Right.
And so this is I think really valuable information, because we had earnestly looked at a water system, joining a community water system, and we were willing to take this gamble for water freedom. And what we've learned is that a lot of these independently owned water systems, which are common in our area, they're not without their problems. So it's not a matter of just hooking into a municipal system and you're guaranteed water no matter what. They have had their issues, and they also have very high rates. Another small factor, but I think it's worth sharing in case you're considering land in a similar area that would have a winter climate. Our roads shut down for potentially several months. Back in the spring when we had our SIPs delivered for our house, we struggled to get them delivered because during the spring months, there's a process called breakup, where the frost that develops in the roadways, because we drive on them, the frost gets driven very deep, maybe 6 to 9, 10 feet deep, and it makes the roads extremely fragile. And what they do is they close the roads to heavy loads. You're just not allowed to haul anything really to amount to anything unless the temperatures get below freezing, etc. Well drilling is one of those things. People who try to pump concrete in the spring, they pay an astronomical amount of money for concrete because they can only bring it in very small amounts, like 3 yards instead of 11 or 12. Well drilling shuts down because those roads are not accessible. We knew that if we didn't get this well drilled now, it could very well be summer, and then we would be right back in the line of people who are trying to hammer out wells during the summer. So the point is, when the well driller called and they said, we'll be there, we're like, yes. We weren't ready. We had no idea what was going to happen, but we said, yes, please do come. We need to get this done now.
I know a lot of you guys that whether you're new or you've been watching us for a long time, you probably have a lot of questions, and they're all very good questions. Not this video. Way too much stuff to cover. So we're planning on doing that soon.
We're hoping to get a simple, maybe a frost-free hydrant installed, get a pump installed, get power to it, and we're gonna be really happy because that will just keep us from having to go off the property to bring water. Someday down the road, we'll answer all those questions, and we'll also talk about what's next.
Bugaboo. Bugaboo. Bugaboo, we got a well drilled. Bugaboo, it's only 87 feet. Bugaboo, Mom and Dad are gonna be a lot happier because they have unlimited water. Alright, Munchkin, see you in a few hours.